Hi everybody, Mark Womack, and I'm alongside Pat Estep, head men's basketball coach at Cedarville University. And Pat, the 2011-12 season is up on us, and we start Saturday at home against Roberts Wesleyan, but you've had a lot of time to practice, some scrimmages. Just talk about some generalities right now. How do you feel like the team is?
Guys are working really hard. I like the group. I think we've got a pretty good mix of talent in our newcomers to go along with our veterans. The guys they've been working really hard. We've been going 2 hours a week for a period of time, 4 days into class until we were allowed to start practice. I think in some areas we're ahead of where we were last year at this time. In some areas where, as far as our motion offense and guys understanding the roles and all those things, we're not. So we're still trying to figure out some of that. And a lot of that's due to we have 2 transfers, and then we have 2 redshirt freshmen and a true freshman, and all of them are going to play for us. So, I think when you throw all those things together with the guys who are already here, it just takes time in the way we play. But they're a great group. They're very unselfish. They're a lot of fun to coach so far, and they come and work hard every day.
What is the way that you would like to play? What should be the characteristics of this team?
Everybody always loves to say, yeah, we're going to get up and down, we're going to run the floor. That's probably not, we're pretty good in transition at times, but we're not an up and down team. I think for us to be really good, we've got to establish a post presence, whether that's through Zimmy or BG or one of the guys off the bench. When we can do that on a regular basis, then we'll be pretty good. Our guards are all very capable 3-point shooters. I think they've got high basketball IQs. We're not really a dribble drive team. We're still going to ball screen a lot. I think this team will be a little better in the half court than last year's team was. We got a little better size. Hopefully we'll rebound better. But we're going to get out and run in transition some, but we're not an up and down squad. So.
Okay, let's talk about the roster specifically. Only 1 senior's on there, Daniel Kohavi.
Yeah, Daniel, we want to send him out with a bang as best we can this year. For him, he's done a great job stepping up into a leadership role. Our junior class is a pretty big class, especially due to the 2 transfers. So, and that's a very talented class for us. You got 2 Ohio Players of the Year. You got 2 Division I transfers in there. You got Austin, who was All-State in Colorado. That's a very good class. I think this team is definitely going to be at its best in January and February. And, you hate to talk about next year, but if everybody stays healthy and keeps progressing, it could be a fun couple of years for us.
Okay, let's talk more specifically about the junior class. First off, the 4 returning players, starting with Brian Hecker. You also have Caleb Maxwell in there, Austin Foote, as you mentioned, and then Daniel Hickman as well. What are you expecting from them as returning juniors?
Well, I think they're the guys that are most comfortable with our system, with our sets, what I expect out of guys on a daily basis. So they've provided a great deal of leadership for us, which has been good. And that's what you expect out of returners first and foremost. They got to lead, and they're doing a great job of that. 2 of them are captains already. Brian Hecker's having to adjust to a different position. With Zimmy coming in, we moved him to the wing, and he's starting to pick that up. And he's shooting the 3 a little better. He's learning how to defend, maybe a little smaller, quicker guy. Daniel Hickman has been probably our hardest worker all year. So it's really been fun to watch these guys. If Austin stays healthy, you saw him a couple years ago when he was healthy. He really can provide that scoring punch for us. And then I think the big thing you look for in those guys is they've all been role players in the past. Well, now this is their team, along with our couple transfers. So they've got to step up, and some of them are going to have to hit big shots on certain nights and have to make plays and get stops. And, so all those unknowns that they used to sit back and watch Matt Harner or Derek Hannon do or Ricardo, now it's their turn, and they got to step up when the lights are on. So. Okay,
now our viewers have heard the name Zimmy a couple times. Zimmy Wobo and Zach Brown, your 2 junior transfers from Division I schools.
Yeah, and they played at Division I. They weren't walk-ons. They weren't guys that never got in games. They both played a decent amount, actually. We expect big things from them. Zach, we're moving to the point. He's going to run the show for us. Zimmy's a 4-man that really can create some matchup problems. He can shoot the 3. He's getting better. He's spent a lot of time at the post. We're making him face up a little bit. He's very athletic. Defensively, he can disrupt a lot because of his length. and he can really handle the ball. So we think he's probably our toughest matchup, 1 through 5. And then Zach's just a really smart player. He does a great job of getting us into stuff, and then when things break down, he's probably as good as we have at just making reads and making stuff happen.
Okay, your one sophomore is probably the one player that was talked about the most at the end of last year, Brian Grant. And wow, what do you expect from him this year? He finished well last year.
Well, he's going to have a tough time repeating what he finished with, but I tell you what, he's kind of, in practice, he looks like he's picked up where he left off. He's stronger, he's more athletic. You know, I think he's just getting into the flow of some new guys here and not really being used to playing with them. But he and Zimmy are really a combo that's tough to match up with, and primarily because they pass the ball so well. We expect BG to be a go-to guy for us. You know, he's done a great job this offseason, getting himself ready for this year, and from all appearances, he looks like he's kind of picked up where he's left off.
Now, what do you expect from your freshmen? You have a couple of red shirts, Brian Reddick, Leighton Smith, and then Marcus Reinecke, a true freshman.
Yeah, those guys are all going to get minutes for us. You know, Brian Reddick we're going to play him a little bit of 4 and maybe some wing at times once he gets used to stuff. You know, for those guys, those redshirt guys, it's tough. They've been out for 2 years. You know, it's a lot of time off, so they're trying to get back in the flow of playing and not pressing themselves. But Brian can defend just about every position on the floor. He rebounds the ball well. He's strong physically. He can shoot the 3. So I think as the game starts to slow down for him, he's really going to have an impact on our team. Leighton gives us a great deal of athleticism inside. You know, he's really a phenomenal athlete. It's just getting better every day he's in here. He works hard. And then Marcus is a great scorer. You know, I think the game is still, you know, it's still fast for him right now. It's not slowed down yet, but I would expect big things from those guys out in January and February when everything starts to make more sense and the game's a little slower than it is now. But Marcus will remind you and those people watching of a Chris Beals. It's kind of the type of player. He's a tough, hard-nosed kid that can shoot it, and he can score in some bunches.
Now, not only some new players on the court, you have new staff on the sidelines too.
Yeah, and not only are they trying to get used to each other, we're all trying to get used to each other. You know, having Derek Cannon over there helps. He's familiar with me. He knows what I believe in, what I want. Coach Newman done a phenomenal job. He works with our post players and recruiting, and you know, just the game stuff, it just takes time. You know, he's doing a great job really working with our guys. Our guys love him. He really, nobody outworks him. And, you know, but it's still, when you throw 2 new guys in there trying to figure out who does what game nights, it just takes some time. But we're enjoying having him. And then we got Ryan Nisus, who's coaching our JV team, and he's a big help as well. He spent some time as a manager, Division I, been around the game a lot. So, yeah, it's that part has been every bit as challenging as trying to get the players to learn how to cooperate and work together. So.
Final question, Pat. Making the transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II, that certainly has an effect on the schedule, and we could talk a long time about some of the teams on that, but it's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, I think you said I was crazy earlier in your office today, but I tell you what, we've been competing at a national level for 8 years in NAIA. Yeah. The only way I know to do that, you know, I don't want fool's gold this year and, you know, go schedule 20, 23 wins and against teams that aren't nationally ranked. Yeah. We want to know what it takes to be a top 25 team in Division II. So we're going to find out early. You know, we play 3 teams in the top 15 in the country, a couple teams that are getting votes or, you know, are talked about were national tournament teams last year. And then we got a Division I squad on there. And then in our little group we're playing with, in the Ohio Independence, you got Central State who just beat Wright State. So, and we have Walsh on there as well twice. So I think it's probably, in the 12 years I've been here, it's definitely one of the toughest schedules we've had. But it's for these guys to get better, you know, and for us to see what it takes to compete at a national level.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Thanks. Talking with Coach Pat Estep, head men's basketball coach at Cedarville. I'm Mark Womack. We look forward to seeing you at the Callan Athletic Center this season.